Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you to We'll Bring the Popcorn, the ultimate film and TV podcast.
So I want to move us now into our first movie review of the week. We have Predator Badlands from 20th Century Studios. This is following the story of Dek, a young predator who's from the Yautja clan. He's trying to prove himself. He wants to become, part of his clan, and part of that is, securing a prey and, going through a successful hunt and coming back alive and proving you're a man. And he's kind of known as the run of the litter, for lack of a better term. He's kind of this outcast on his own clan, trying to prove himself. He's got his brother who's this really strong warrior that he's trying to prove himself with, and his brother is like, trying to bring out the toughness in him to see if he's truly worthy of being part of the Yautja clan, and trying to get him to toughen up so he's capable of going on a hunt and proving himself. And Dek, being the ambitious young warrior that he is, goes for he goes to pick out his prey, because you have to go to another planet and find a trophy and bring it back, and when you do that, you're part of the clan. And his brother is trying to actively get him to go after a weaker one, just to be like, go ahead and prove your point, go do your thing. And he picks this impossible monster that's never been killed. Nobody's ever been able to defeat it on this crazy planet. And his brother's like, yeah, maybe don't do that. That's not the one you want to do.
That's mine.
And it kind of sets off a chain of events from there. And then I don't want to spoil too much of what actually happens from there, but he goes and sets off on this journey to kind of prove himself. And he winds up going to this planet. And that's really where the whole story for this entire thing kicks off.
Yeah, because you get him going to this planet, Jenna, where everything's trying to kill you. It's the trees and every creature, the grass, there's nothing nice about this planet. It all wants to kill you. And on his journey here, he ends up coming across a synth played by Elle Fanning, which is Thea. And she's a very, I'm going to say, it's almost like C-3PO type of synth. She's very humorous and very just, compared to having a predator, you have this very bubbly personality synth, but it works so well. They work so well off of each other. But I had a ton of fun with this. This is not your standard regular Predator film. When most people think of Predator, they're thinking about the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger and 87? Yeah. You're looking at that original. The rest of them, you're kind of mixed and muddled on, and even with Alien versus Predator and all that. But this is a very different Predator film. It's all about the Yautja, about the predator, who's, as you said, he's weaker. He hasn't earned all the gadgets. He's trying to, by killing this big prey, he'll get his cloaking device. And, they earn from kills and everything they do different parts of their armor. So he's still very basic. He's got a helmet. He's got a little bit of armor. He's got his sword and his bow and stuff. But he's trying to earn everything. And I have to give it up to Demetrius, who played Dek, because all of his lines were in a made-up language. They created a full Yautja language, and he had to deliver his entire performance using this made-up language, and he did a fantastic job in there, especially because he's wearing a suit, but you also got CGI to the face, so you can make it move and everything else. But I think he did a solid job. Elle Fanning did a solid job. It's a limited cast. You have no humans. You have a bunch of synths that, of course, look human, but you have synths and you have alien creatures, and that's it. And that's kind of how they can get away with a lot of violence in here, is because there's no red blood. You get green blood and other stuff like that, and it did pack a lot of action and a lot of violence into this film.
For sure. It's heavy on the action, heavy on the story in this, and you get basically Dek going through this journey of, he's very much like I would almost call him a Drax-like type creature, in his mannerisms and the way he thinks about things and the way he moves is very Drax-like, not quite as heavy on the humor side necessarily as the way Drax has been portrayed in the MCU, but that's kind of one of the closer comparisons I could make to him as a character. Is very Drax-like, very, very literal. There's not a lot of subtlety or humor. It's just Elle's like, I need you to help me find my leg. So when he finds her, she's cut in half. She's been separated from her legs. Obviously she's synthetic, so that's not that big of a deal. She can still function and do all the things she needs to do, but her objective is to try to convince Dek to take her with him so she can get her legs back and become like a full synth again. And, you know, they play up a lot of humor in that, but Deck is very much like, I'm a predator. I have to do this on my own. I don't need help. I don't want any help. And she just basically is like, just consider me a tool to help you. And he instead of just calling her Elle, he calls her tool. Like, you are a tool.
You're a tool.
I will use you. You are a tool. Like, it's just very primitive and very funny, like the relationship they two have, because you do see Deck kind of growing a little bit and gaining a little bit of, not quite empathy, but empathetic traits to some things, a little bit of a conscience, if you will, like throughout a lot of this, instead of just being the very primitive, the mission is the only thing that matters kind of thing that you get from Predators a lot. You get a little bit more human, almost a little more humanity to him, a little more empathy, but it's a really cool story. I agree. I had a lot of fun watching this.
You actually get a Predator cracking a joke in here. Like, there's not many for the Predator. Most of the humor and stuff comes from Elle Fanning, and because she plays a dual role. She's Thea, but she's also Tessa. So Thea is kind of more of this helper synthetic that's supposed to be doing a lot of the research and looking around the planet and categorizing and learning about the creatures, while Thea's your military leader. She's the one that's out there fighting and protecting and doing everything with the other synth. She's running things, and it's an interesting dynamic you have with her playing two of the same synth but very differently. Like he said, Thea's very bubbly and smiling and cracking jokes and like really almost like a childlike innocence to her, while Tessa is very straight, doesn't smile, is just straight up what Mother's mission is. That's what I have to do no matter what. And she played it very well. She played both of those really well. And it was really interesting that Elle was strapped to Dimitri's back. Demetrius's back. Like, they created a rig where she was wearing like green pants and stuff and filming inside of a soundstage, but she was strapped to his back with a little extra help. And that had to be hard to perform some of the stuff in there with her strapped to the back, but they went to try to make it feel as, I guess, organic with each other as possible, because you've got a synth and you've got a Predator and you're trying to figure out how does this work. And he makes her a tool, and he makes sure she knows, you're a tool. I don't get help. You're not helping me. You're a tool that I use. You don't use me. And he actually gets upset at one time because it feels like she's trying, when she's trying to use him, she's like, no, I use tools. Like, tools don't use me. And it's so different than what we've had before. Most of the story revolves around him trying to kill this Calyx. So this is a creature that nobody has ever returned from seeing. They've got a little bit of information on it, but they don't know why it's unkillable. But before he even gets to that creature, he meets another small alien creature it's kind of part Grogu, part E.T. and Gollum, kind of all mixed together there, and it was part of Boo. It's very interesting what they did there, but it plays a part to the story and everything else. But the CGI at times can be a little rough, but it never really took me out of it. And for the purists who want a Predator movie, this may not fully appeal to you, but if you can give it a try, I think a ton of people are going to have fun with it, because this is Dan Trachtenberg's third Predator film. Prey was his take on the standard formula for Predator. So you got to have kind of a classic Predator in that. And then Killer of Killers, the animated anthology, kind of mixed in more lore, that we have these arenas where they're collecting champions and doing all that. And then we have this one where it's about a young Predator trying to earn the right to be called a member of the clan and get the rest of his armor and his suit and everything else and actually be a Predator. And it's all about his journey on this foreign alien planet. And again, like, it was a ton of fun. Like, this is one that I could say I could go back and rewatch over and over again, because it's jam-packed full of action. It starts first 2 minutes in with a battle sequence, and it's probably got the most action, like full straight action, that we've had in a Predator film ever. Because most of the Predator films are about him stalking others, and maybe one attack here and then he's hiding, or another attack, but the attacks may take 2 or 3 minutes. Like, most of this movie is action.
Yeah, it's very heavy on it, and they do a good job of mixing a lot of that stuff in. You got the good mix of the humor, you got the the mix of the action. There's, the tie-in with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation here with these synths that, also if you go back in archives, the first thing I think of is we just recently talked about Alien Earth, and it's heavily focused on, it's got the Weyland-Yutani influence in there too. So you've got like these corporations that are through lines of like all of these interconnected universes, which we're starting to see a little bit more of, especially with the entity like Killer Killers. I think Dan Trachtenberg is trying a little harder to bring all of these things together, and he may be somebody that helps, propel that story forward with what he's doing here. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff mixed in here, man. There's a really fun like action sequence towards the end of the film when it comes to the climax and them trying to basically escape while Deck is still very much trying to get his trophy to go back, and that even ends up in a very satisfactory way, but it ends with the possibility of setting up a future for this franchise too. Like, this may not be the only venture into not only this character but the whole Predator universe, right? It kind of sets up some very interesting possibilities moving forward if they choose to go that route.
Yeah, and that one kind of last action sequence, without going into it, felt in one part with a machine that's used, felt very alien. Like if you go back to the original the aliens and the loaders and the stuff that's being used, you have something like that. Like a little wink and a nod. Like we have a feeling that Dan is probably going to be one that's going to lead up an Alien versus Predator film. But yeah, you have potential for another film with Deck here. But he's hinted that because of Killer and Killers, he might be willing or able to bring back others, because originally he wanted Naru from Prey to be in this film, but he said as he developed the story and stuff, it didn't make sense to bring her into it. But he's also had conversations with Arnold Schwarzenegger about coming back as Dutch, because, I mean, the guy's almost 80, so we'll have to see exactly what happens there. But Killer of Killers definitely sets up this potential for a large universe where he could bring anyone and anything back and mix in any type of alien race or anything else he wants. So I'm excited what the potential could be here with Dan's Predators, because this was unique. This was different. It's not the status quo, but it's a lot of fun. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but I really enjoyed the organic Predator suit that we end up seeing in the film, because you can laugh at it and stuff, but it actually makes sense to what he's trying to do. And it was kind of a unique way to bring that version of the Predator into this film, while also keeping it grounded to what they're trying to do in the film, of showing a guy or a Yacha who's, not quite where the 87 Predator or any of the other Predators are. He's still very young. He doesn't know the basis of it, but he also got to use a bunch of new interesting tools with the grappling hooks. And I wanted to see the bow and arrow get used, but spoiler, that really didn't get used. You got to see it in promos and stuff, but it wasn't a weapon that really got used. And I wanted to see how that actually would work and how he could use it.
Yeah, but it was heavily focused on like just the sword and some of his other elements that he gets to use, because he does get separated from some of that early on when he lands on this planet that is actively trying to kill him. It was such a cool planet. Like the way he put the planet together was really neat. I love the grass that was like almost razor blade-esque that he couldn't run through, and kind of you had to get creative with how he got around. And it was pretty neat how they incorporated all the elements of the planet into the story too. Like you said, everything's actively trying to kill you at that point, and the danger, the threats were nonstop throughout the film, and it kept it moving at a pretty solid pace for a movie that's roughly almost 2 hours in runtime. That felt like a very brisk view when it came time to watching it. It didn't linger on anything. It kept moving at a nice brisk pace, and it told a good story. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I think it did well with its story. Like it's a basic premise, but most of Predators are like, you're setting up that he's the runt of his clan. He's got to do this hunt to prove his worthiness, or basically he's dead. Yeah. Like the Yacha tribe does not tolerate weakness. So if you're shown to be weak, it's just we kill you off and we go on. Right. Like it's no hard feelings, but you're weak, you got to die.
No hard feelings, but you got to go permanently. Yeah. It's kind of savage in that instance. But yeah, I mean, it's about him finding his strength and him doing what he has to do to get his trophy to earn his place in his tribe. And I got to say, the end sequence in the film, awesome. Especially when he spoiler alert, he gets his freaking trophy. I don't think we're really spoiling anything too heavy there, but he kind of gets to go back and throw it in his dad's face, who's kind of like the leader of the Alcha tribe that he's trying to prove his worth to, and that ends in a very
Everything boils
satisfying
down
way.
to daddy problems with everything.
It's just always dad. Dads do better. Do better, dads. But no, it's a really solid story, man. I had a lot of fun with it. High rewatchability for this, for sure. A ton of fun, a lot of action. If you're looking for a good action with some humor and some heart built into it, definitely one to check out for sure. Like,
Yeah, it's a great one to go to theaters to see, because even if you just want to turn your brain off to all what lore there is to the Predator franchise across 6 or 7 films now,
quite a bit.
but they all kind of did their own thing, and this does its own thing too. And it is the farthest out there from any Predator that's been done, because you are focusing on the Predator being kind of a hero in the end. We've never really had that before. The Predators have always been the bad guy. So, which also sets up an interesting way to go forward, and potential tying in with Alien versus Predator, if they go that route, is that we have a hero Predator that we can do. Is he going to change things for how the Predators act and how they hunt and go after other people? Because now he's got a connection to this planet and to these synths, mainly Thea, but he's got all these different connections now, and we see some growth and some change in him, that he's not going to be kind of the same Predator that his dad and his brother and everybody on his, Yautja Prime is, that he's kind of his own thing. So it sets up a potential future that still could continue into a quite different way than we've had before. And I'm actually really looking forward to that.
For sure. It's an interesting change of direction for characters that we're so used to seeing portrayed in a negative light as villains, but that's the whole fun part about when you get into Alien versus Predator type stuff. Who's the bad guy and who's the good guy? Are there no good guys? Are there no bad guys? Like, what's the impetus of this? And you kind of turn that on its head a little bit when you get a Predator that you're actively rooting for now, and you're rooting for Deck to be successful in this film, and you have what could potentially be the kickoff of a good hero's journey for the Predators, and we'll see what that looks like moving forward, and if they continue in this space beyond this. We'll see what the plans forward are moving forward, but it definitely set up some fun, interesting stuff should they choose to go full into like the timeline crossovers and all that stuff that you kind of set up in Killer of Killers. Like, do we start getting some more of that crossover? Do we see Arnold Schwarzenegger come back as Dutch for the first time in almost 40 years? It'll probably be 40 years at that point by the time we get around to the next Predator film, if there is another one. So that's a long time, and will be interesting to see what they do.
Can we get Dutch and Deck doing the classic
Have to. You have to.
They just both of them flexing and hitting each other with that handshake. Like, all right, we're helping each other. Because, I mean, if they do bring in Naru and bring in Dutch and others, could it be for like Alien versus Predator? Is it actually going to be like all the champions and the Predator versus the Xenomorphs and stuff? Could it go that route? Like, there's a lot of potential that he's set up, and I'll say he's been 3 for 3 so far. Like, with Prey, you got the classic, but with a twist because it's taking place back in the Native American times and stuff, and then you got quite a different twist with the animated anthology we got earlier this year that sets up a lot of different paths it can go, and even Predator Badlands here sets up a really interesting future that it does feel like this character's in good hands of doing something new and unique. If you just continue to do the same Predator over and over again, yeah, you can have a little fun with it, but it's probably the majority of the reason why most of the Predator films are not that good is because they just try to do the regular thing over and over again in a slightly different way, and it can get a little tiring. This was a fresh, interesting take on the Predator that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, and we'll see how successful it is at the box office. We'll see if it's got any type of staying power. Our showing in particular wasn't the best attended, but we kind of went at it off time a little bit than what we were normally used to seeing a movie at, a little earlier than normal than we would, but we'll see what the box office holds up for it. There's not a ton of big competition in theaters right now. I know we're getting ready to go into some really heavy, like, popular stuff that's getting ready to come out. Obviously, with the big juggernaut that is Wicked getting ready to come out in another week or two. Like, that's another big one that could hold off from that from being long-term successful, but we'll see what it looks like for now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it has any legs to continue with. You've got The Running Man, and Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and you got Wicked, and just going into December where you have Avatar, and that juggernaut. So hopefully it is able to have a decent little run here before it meets Wicked, because Wicked is going to just dominate every screen as soon as it comes out in 2 weeks here.
Yeah, for sure. But Predator Badlands is the next action film set up in the Predator franchise. It's a ton of fun. It's a visual spectacle as well. This planet that Deck goes on his journey on is gorgeous. It's very well done. The action is stellar. It is top notch. It's got some humor mixed into it. And you get kind of a different take on the Predators here as more of a hero's journey that we don't really see. We really haven't seen it up to this point in the Predator franchise, where you get this real protagonist type Predator that, you really find yourself rooting for. But I got to say, man, I had a ton of fun watching this. I'm giving Predator Badlands a solid 8. Like, I had a really good time. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but this might be one of my favorite Predator entities that we've had in all the entries we've had so far. I've really got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I'll be giving Predator Badlands an 8 as well. It was a ton of fun. It's something I can see having a lot of replayability, that I wanted to kind of see it again right after I got out of it because it was so much fun. There was more humor than I was expecting. It can go a little slapsticky almost at times, but it still worked. Like they kind of dangled on that line a little bit of, are we taking the humor a little too far? Is it staying right in there? But Elle Fanning was fantastic. Demetrius was great as Deck. Like, you don't have a huge cast in here, but what they did well. The action sequences were big, bold, a ton of fun to watch. But yeah, it was one of the best Predator films we've had in a while, because it dared to take it in a new direction and do some new things and give us a different look at the Yautja Predator creatures, and it was just so enjoyable to watch.
I really dug it. It was so much fun. Definitely a high rewatchability. I agree with that for sure. But action sequences were on point. Like I said, visually stunning. Like, CG in a lot of cases look really good. I mean, some places with CGI, as heavy as it is, it can look a little wonky, and in some places it does. But yeah, definitely more humor and heart than I was expecting out of this too, because you expect that like darker, more serious tone in most of the film, and there's a decent amount of that in it, but they definitely leaned into the humor in this a little more than I anticipated it would. It was a lot funnier than I was anticipating when I got into the film. Like, I wasn't expecting to have some of the chuckle moments that I did in this, and we got those in there, and I think it helped. I think the levity in it really helped tell a more cohesive story than just a straightforward action run and gun kind of movie that you can kind of expect from a Predator franchise. But this was a lot of fun. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, and it really was a unique way to tell the story. Like, we haven't had Predator done in this way before. I would love to see, and maybe in the future, that we get a throwback kind of joke to the original Predator costume, which was Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be wearing, that looked almost Mantis-like. I'd love to see Dan with kind of how he's trying to interconnect everything. Give us a throwback to that creature at some point so we can see how ridiculous that would have looked. But you could also CGI up and make it look so much better than that rubber foam suit that he was wearing in the little bit of footage that we have of that Mantis suit. I'd love to see that come back in the Predator franchise, especially if you're introducing a lot more humor into this universe.
Sure.
Have some fun with that.
You definitely could for sure. But Predator Badlands is in theaters now. Go check it out. Come to our YouTube comments. Come to our Discord. Let us know what you think of the film. We'd love to have that conversation with you, and definitely one that we got a lot of enjoyment out of, and we think you will too. To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio room on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.